What does it mean to pack the court? A lot of talk about that these days. We're going to take a look at that. Where does that phrase come from? What does it mean? What implications does it have for us as Americans, especially as we're looking at this election cycle? Strap in. It's going to be a fun and bumpy ride. Hey, and welcome back to Musings of an Old Guy. You know, today we're going to do a little bit of history lesson to try to understand what in the world it is when they talk about packing the court. I talked about it in my last one, but just briefly, I want to talk about why it's important and where it came from. What's going on with this? If you've been keeping up, we're taking a look at a new Supreme Court judge being installed, Amy Coney Barrett. President Trump has an opportunity to install or to nominate and have approved and accepted and voted and ratified by the Congress somebody new, a new Supreme Court justice. Why? Because Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who was a justice for 27 years, passed away. She was a very left-leaning liberal judge, a very brilliant woman, very capable woman, and people respected her on both sides. She was an interesting gal, very feisty little gal, and she passed away just recently. Now, with her passing, it opens up this opportunity for President Trump, the current president, to nominate a new Supreme Court justice. And this is a big deal. This is a great big deal in the life of a president. Only so many justices are nominated. You see, justices have a lifetime tenure. They are put in that position and kept in that position till they pass away or choose to retire. So what does that mean for us? It means the reason they do that is because they don't want these judges being swayed by politics. You know, I'm going to be voted in. I need to say things a certain way to get that vote every single year or every election cycle or whatever. They're there for life. And once they're settled, once they understand their identity, there's not a lot that sways them politically or financially one way or the other. The only thing that really sways them, I think, is ego, wanting to be part of the in crowd in Washington and be asked out to certain cocktail parties and to hang out with certain people in the crowd. And that's what you're going to get by voting according to a specific group's, whims or desires or whatever. That's a sad thing. Why? Because being a judge is supposed to be absolutely non-political in every single way. A judge's responsibility is simply to hear cases and decide whether the previous decision about that case is constitutionally accurate, fair, balanced, and in harmony with other laws and other stipulations that are on the books. Now, here's the deal. In the Supreme Court, very rarely is it an original case. Only really when it's stuff that's state against state, things of that nature. Most of what they hear, in fact, 99% of what they hear is appeals. Things that have gone through several levels, from the local all the way up to districts, all the way up to the appellate court, and then into the Supreme Court. Those guys are hearing cases that have already been tried. A lot of times it's not about new evidence or anything like that. It's about rehearing what was said. And they give people an opportunity to say this, that, or the other. But then they try to take a decision that was previously made and take that decision and apply the law to it and see if it was a good decision, an accurate decision, a constitutional decision. That's the Supreme Court, the highest court of the land. Very important. They're supposed to be unbiased and just able to take the Constitution and apply it in real life. Now you have the judicial branch, you have the executive branch. So you have Congress, Senate, those guys, and they have an opportunity to make laws. And so they try to listen to their constituents and they try to battle it out in the halls of Congress. And they try to battle this out representing their people. Well, as you know, there's that side of the aisle and this side of the aisle and that kind of stuff. Now, let's talk about Supreme Court justices. You've got elected presidents and you've got elected representatives, elected senators, and these guys are elected to represent their state and the constituents of their state. It's very political. It's all about money. It's all about influence. The judges are supposed to be the checks and balances for our three-tiered system: the judicial, the legislative, and the executive branch of government. You have this checks and balance so nobody can run away and become a supreme dictator. Got it? That's what's so unique about the United States of America and our Constitution. Incredible. And then along with that should be an unbiased press that does good journalistic work to keep the people in the know as to what's going on. Well, our media, our press has gone crazy. They're very much leaning to one side. Same with our educational system. So we've got 98% of all professors in higher education are extremely liberal, and about the same percentage of the people in the press. So when you're listening to the media, or reading the media, you are taking part in listening to very biased, very left-leaning stuff. So we're hoping that the Supreme Court is the one sane, balanced, fair, constitutional body that keeps America on track with the goals and vision of our founding fathers. Are you with me so far? Man, that's a lot of stuff. So now follow this. Ever since way back when with George Washington and Jefferson and John Adams and those guys, our founding fathers, there have been, interesting, 5 justices, 6 justices, 7 justices, 9 justices. It's been interesting, and some things in between, but around that. Now, why? How did this number 9, which we now have, 9 justices, how did we come to that place, and why has it been there for over 150 years? 9 justices. It's worked. Why? Well, in the early days when they first started this whole justice thing, remember, we were just 13 colonies, 13 states, and those states were very much localized in a specific region of the United States, the continental United States. They were all up in the northeast area there and some down the eastern seaboard, but really for the most part up there. And what these Supreme Court justices would do, you're not going to believe this. Their job was to ride on horseback to these other courts, these local courts, the circuit courts. These circuit courts heard cases that went through normal courts and district courts, and people weren't happy with it. So I'm going to appeal. Well, you want to go to the highest court in the land so you know that you're not getting juked, you're not getting a raw deal. So they set up these courts, these circuit courts around the states. And these justices, the Supreme Court justices, 2 of them let me put it this way. They had 6 regions, and they would break these regions down. They made 6 Supreme Court justices. They would break these regions down, and 2 justices would sit together in any given one of those circuit courts with a local judge at the same time. So you have your local regional judge and you have your 2 Supreme Court judges, and they would make the hearing for this appeal. But that meant they had to travel by horseback to this court, to that court, to this court, and it was a major ordeal. These Supreme Court justices didn't just sit back in some ivory tower somewhere. They were on the road, on horseback, in horse buggies, whatever, back in the day. So I just find that amazing, the differences of today and then. Over the course of time, America kept growing, and there were more states, and we had to add more courts. So when there were more courts, we added more justices. Over the course of time, this became a huge amount of courts, and not that many justices who wanted to travel by horseback, especially once they started getting southern states. They had to cross the Appalachian Mountain Range. Incredibly difficult, particularly in winter. So they would only go there twice a year and do this thing. Well, they finally decided this was getting crazier and crazier. And so in some places, they would establish a new justice. So we went from 5 to 7 because they put 2 new justices on the other side of the mountain. And the rule was you had to be a resident of that place. No more of this going over the mountains and back. So 7 justices. And as we expanded westward, new regions were made, new circuit courts. That's why they call it the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, because there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then 7 courts, these circuit courts, and they would grow and grow. And isn't this crazy? So over the course of time, then we got 7, 8. We expanded westward, and when we finally got to California, there was the 10th Circuit Court. But by that time, several things had happened. We had decided this bouncing back and forth number had settled in. There were 9 circuit courts, and so they had, or 9 regions or whatever. They had 9 justices. It just worked out. In 1911, they ruled that no more of this horseback riding stuff. And so they put more local district courts and appellate courts in various places. So the Supreme Court justices no longer had to travel over and over. They were then, stationary. And then it became 9 justices. It made sense. The number of courts, the number of appellate courts, the number of districts, it was 9. And people seemed to like that. Now, back in 1937, Franklin Delano Roosevelt was trying to get his New Deal pushed through and trying to get us out of the Depression and trying to create jobs and all this. So he passed a whole bunch of laws that would put people back to work and cause factories to offer jobs, all kinds of things like this. Well, the people would take these rulings to court, and he started seeing a lot of his New Deal ideas were being struck down in the Supreme Court. He wanted to get this stuff done. He's like, this isn't working. So he had a great idea. Let's do this. Now follow this. The Constitution doesn't say how many justices are supposed to be in the Supreme Court. That's left up to Congress to make that decision. So it can be as many as they want. In fact, it doesn't even say what age they have to be, whether they have to have any experience, and they don't even have to be a U.S. citizen. That's in the Constitution. Now, that's amazing. Just have to be wise and know the law and have to have the trust of the people. And when they're put there for lifetime. So you better make a good choice. Well, so in 1911, they decided no more riding around. In 1937, FDR he wanted to get his stuff through the court. So he said, let's just fill the court. I'm just going to put in a whole bunch of new justices. We need more justices. I'm going to put a bunch more in, and now I'll get my way because I'm going to fill the court. There were 9. He wanted 15, so he would fill the court with the additional judges. A little tilted, right? The entire nation voted that down. Even those people who were loyal supporters of FDR said, no, that's not going to work. That's going to open this whole Pandora's box. That's not good for us. It's not good for the nation. It's not good for the future. No way. They struck that down. That was in 1937. We've had 9 judges for a long time, since 1898. Or I can't even remember the date on that. 1869, I believe, we've had 9 ever since then. So now what has happened in our lifetime, very, very interesting, is Justice Scalia passed away. And so when he passed away, Antonin Scalia passed away in 2016. That left an opening, and that happened during Obama's administration. So Obama had the chance to put in a Supreme Court justice. He wanted to put in a guy named Merrick Garland, and but he did not have control of the Senate. And they said, I don't care who you put, we're not voting him in. So why even try? Well, really, for 11 months, he didn't even nominate somebody. because he knew, what's the point? They're not going to vote him in. Well, many justices across the land got together and said, no, you have to do it. Even if they vote him down, you have to make a recommendation. This is good for our politics. It's good for the country. Don't just sit by and let this happen. So at the end of his term, he put forth this Merrick Garland. Well, it was an 11th hour last-ditch effort to put a guy in, and he wasn't going to be approved anyway because the Republicans were in charge. So that seat was left unfilled for 11 months. And the Supreme Court really didn't get much done. Instead of hearing their usual many cases, they only heard 5 during that period of time. Now, along comes President Trump. He gets voted in 2016. And takes office in 2017. Now, this is very interesting. In 2017, Trump puts in Neil Gorsuch, great guy. Everybody finds him to be good, but he's leaning conservative, leaning right. Then, unbelievably, Anthony Kennedy retires. Who would have expected that? When Kennedy retires, and I can't believe he did that, he left a massive opening for Trump to be able to put in whoever he wanted there. And of course, he had to go through all these Senate hearings and all that. And who did Trump put forward? But he put forward Brett Kavanaugh. Remember the Kavanaugh hearings? And the Democrats were so angry that Trump had this opportunity to fill this seat that they did everything they can to completely discredit this poor Kavanaugh. If I was a guy like Kavanaugh, there's no way I would run for an office. I mean, not just a guy like Kavanaugh, but anybody, just like Amy Coney Barrett. When you decide today to be a candidate for the Supreme Court, you better believe the other side is going to grill the heck out of you. And they grilled Brett Kavanaugh like a piece of yesterday's fried chicken. I mean, I guess you don't fry or grill fried chicken. You know what I mean. So this is what happened. Remember what they said about Kavanaugh? They even brought people in to say he was loose and he was wild, and they brought in testimonies from his college days when he was young and crazy. But as it turns out, he was a great guy. This was a terrible hit on his family, his heart. It's just heartbreaking. It's hard to believe this can happen. And I will say this, that does not happen, that kind of brutality, when it's the Republicans dealing with people. They're softer, gentler, kinder bunch. I believe that to be true. Well, maybe I'm wrong, but that's been my experience. The Democrats are brutal. At least that's what I've seen. So anyway, Brett Kavanaugh got in. He's a good justice. We're glad he's there. But the scales have been tipped, and now things are going back conservative toward the Republicans, toward the right. All of a sudden, Ruth Bader Ginsburg dies this year, and Trump has a few months left. And the question is, with a new election coming and a new president probably being seated, does he have the right to put another, that would be 3 Supreme Court justices in place? Does he have that right? And that would really tip the scales. And that just infuriates the left, because we're going to have a conservative court for quite a while. So Trump gets to put somebody in office, or at least nominate somebody to be then approved and put in place by the Senate. Well, of course, the Senate is right-leaning. It is a Republican Senate. And guess what? They're going to approve whoever he puts forward. So the Democrats are going to do everything they can to make sure that's not going to happen. Well, Trump has nominated Amy Coney Barrett. Very, very conservative, very right-wingish, but she's pretty cool because she's very constitutional. She says, I'm going to judge these things based on the Constitution and existing law, not by my whims or the pressure put on me by other people, not by my desires, not even by my compassionate heart, which she's extremely compassionate. A mother of 7, adopted 2 children, just this compassionate, warm, heartfelt individual. And she said, it's still not about my heart, my desires. It's about the law and the desires of our founding fathers and those who constructed the Constitution of the United States. That's really the job of a Supreme Court justice, not to figure out what the will of society is, not to figure out what the mood, the political mood is, as things are swinging very, very left and very, very crazy. That the job of a justice is to swing things, not to swing anything, is to maintain constitutional consistency. Got it? Now, if Trump installs Barrett, and he's gonna, we will have a very right-leaning court. The Democrats are upset. If by chance Biden and Harris were to get in office this election, you know what they're going to do. They're going to do what FDR tried to do back in 1937. They're going to try to pack the court. They're going to say, let's change the laws. Really, laws don't dictate this. Let's change the rulings. Let's change the structure. And let's go ahead and go with 15 justices, which means they will have the right to pack in 6 new justices. And they will be very left-leaning justices because they're going to be picked by this very left-leaning administration. If Biden-Harris wins, it's going to be the most socialistic, most communist, most left-leaning, radical administration we've ever known. You think you think that Bernie Sanders was, a kind of an out there guy? Kamala Harris is way beyond that. And the AOC crowd, way beyond that. There are things that are going to take place if they were to get in office that you wouldn't believe. And they've got to pack that court. If they're going to have their way, they've got to pack that court. And then the cat's out of town. And the mice can do whatever they want. And they will. And they will reshape this country just like Obama wanted to do back in the Obama administration. And they will make sure that all their favorite little really anti-American, anti-constitutional, socialistic agenda gets ramrodded through. That's what we're up for. If they pack the court. Now you know what packing the court is. Some say, well, talk about packing the court. Trump has packed the court. He's packed it with these 3. He got 3 choices in his tenure in just these 4 short years. Yes, but he isn't packing the court. He gets to make appointments. And yes, he is choosing very conservative people. So in some way he's trying to pack it with conservatives, but there's only 9. That's the rules. That's the game we've been playing for 150 years. And we've never not done that. Now, these guys are saying that's not fair. And it's an interesting thing. It kind of looks like the hand of God. These people passing away, even retiring. Kennedy just out of the blue retiring in the midst of Trump's tenure. Listen, I believe God's doing something incredible in this nation. This nation has gone haywire. We've become a nation of baby killers, a nation of lefties, the left hates Israel. The left has not allowed peace in the Middle East. The left wants to ramrod socialist agendas through and through. They want to continue with the killing of babies and all of this stuff that if you're a Christian, if you're into the Bible, if you're into God and his concerns, you can see these things are anti-God. Even the freedom for us to go outside. Biden has just said just last night he will enforce the wearing of masks for everybody. And if he can't do it, he's going to force the governors to do it. And if they won't do it, he's going to force the mayors to do it through persuasion. He can't do it legally. He has come out and said that. He has also come out and said, yes, he will try to pack the courts. So now we're getting the truth. The strange thing is you've got this guy, Trump, who got into office, and we're like, who is this guy? He's crazy. He's outspoken. He's bombastic. Nobody wants Trump. Well, he's turned out to be perhaps the most pro-Christian, pro-God, pro-Christ president ever. Also the most pro-Israel, the most pro-constitutional that we've had in years and years. This guy is as conservative as they come. Trump, this crazy multi-billionaire playboy who we always thought was wild and crazy. Now we find out he never drinks. He doesn't do drugs. And they've tried to pin things on him, months and months and years of investigation. Can't pin a single thing on him. And yet we know what's coming down with Hunter Biden and Biden himself. We know what's coming down with Obama and Hillary. Oh, the stuff that's happened with Benghazi and Russiagate and all that. It is unbelievable that every one of those people are not in jail. Now, I know if you're not on this page with me, I sound crazy, but I'm telling you, a lot has happened in the last few months. All this stuff has been exposed. The whole Steele dossier, the lies, Comey, the FBI, the CIA, all working, colluding together to take down Trump because they're angry that their girl Hillary didn't get in. And now they want to pack the courts. That's what this is all about. It's pure politics, nothing to do with the good of this country or you or the good of the future generations. It's preposterous. Now, I hope you understand what packing the court is. I did the best I can. You can get more information. Just type in packing the court in Google and you'll get a lot of documents. I got most of my information from Wikipedia and from really National Geographic Society has a great article on this. So there you go. I hope you understood that. That was a lot of information. Let's see. My timer is 25 minutes, the longest video I've done yet. I hope I didn't bore the heck out of you. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, God bless you. God bless this country. God bless those in leadership, that he would speak to their hearts. He would give them wisdom, and they would see truth, goodness, kindness, and God's heart. Oh, we pray for this nation. Thanks for joining me. Hope to talk to you real soon. Don't forget to you've got to click on this thing. You've got to subscribe and you've got to share and like. These things are very important for we YouTubers because I'm trying to grow this channel and you're watching it to the end. I should have said that at the beginning. And you're checking these things off are massive, massive things in the eyes of the algorithm that shoot you then to the top of the pile so that you then can start building your channel. So help me out by doing those things. When people say like and subscribe, it is very important. That's how YouTubers make their money because then it makes their YouTube channel more powerful, if you want, in the eyes of advertisers. So please do that. Like and subscribe. Do leave a comment. Do you like what we're talking about? Do you like the format? Do you want it changed up? Man. And so while I'm sitting here in DC and just going over these things, I've been enjoying the Supreme Court hearings. I've been enjoying a lot of stuff. It's been fun being here in the Capitol. And I'm so thrilled to be able to be here in this office. As you can see over my shoulder, the Capitol at night, it's gorgeous. Yeah, and if you believe that, I've got other things to sell you. Yeah, it's just fun green screen stuff. Listen, thanks for being with me. God bless you, and we'll talk soon.